Well, hey, welcome to In the Growth Space. My name is David, and I'm your host. Really glad that you're here once again. Well, hopefully it's once again. I know we have a lot of return listeners, and we have subscribers listening. And if that's you, I'm really grateful that you're back with us. If you're new, welcome. Really glad that you are here, and really glad to be able to share some time with you. We talk a lot here on the podcast about growth in a lot of different areas. And today's area of growth is one that a lot of leaders don't get any training in. And it's the topic is networking. And if you're honest with yourself, and if I'm honest with myself, networking is probably one of those words that makes you want to cringe, and maybe even getting you outside of your comfort zone just a little bit as well. Well, leaders and entrepreneurs need to know how to network and create a network of other leaders. And quite frankly, leaders and entrepreneurs aren't taught how to do that. And it's really one of their biggest challenges on creating relationships and creating a network. And as a result, most of those leaders have fewer referrals if you're in business, or they make fewer professional connections as well. And they sometimes just lose faith in the realm or the art of networking altogether. And so today's episode is around that topic with a leader here in the Pittsburgh area, Alex Giannetti. And Alex quite literally wrote the book on creating a referral network of great people. His book, I have it right here, is called Great People Know Great People. It's a real easy read. It's a wonderful read, and it really talks a lot about his story. And we're going to get into that here in just a moment. But let me just say that his book is going to help everyone, from the networking novice to the experienced leader, in improving their networking skills and their relationship building skills. And so today you're going to learn some of those tools, and you may even want to take some notes today, because Alex shares a framework here in this conversation that is really, really helpful, especially when you're meeting somebody for the first time. So be listening for that. Let me tell you a little bit about Alex first and foremost. So Alex is a realtor here in the Pittsburgh area. He's also the president of Christian Business Partners, which is a networking organization here in Western Pennsylvania. He holds a degree from Liberty University, and his passion is coaching others in business networking and also personal finance and biblical discipleship. Alex lives here in the Pittsburgh area. He's married to his wife, Stacie, and together they have 4 sons, Anthony, Andre, Christian, and Samuel. And I know you're going to really enjoy this conversation. I know you're going to enjoy this episode. And I'm pretty sure that by the end of the episode, you'll have a different view and a different vantage point around this idea of networking. It may still take you outside of your comfort zone, but I think you're going to have the tools to be able to do it more effectively and not cringe when you think of that networking word. So let's go ahead and get into that conversation with Alex Giannetti right now. Well, hey, Alex, welcome to In the Growth Space. Man, I'm so glad that you're here, and we've got a great topic to talk about today.
Yeah, David, thank you for having me. I'm, like I said, honored and blessed to be here. So just very grateful for the opportunity to come and have this conversation.
Yeah, man, it's so great. You recently wrote a book on a topic that I think probably, if everybody's honest, they probably just loathe, because it's this topic around networking, and even just that phrase probably conjures up some visions or some pictures in people's minds about what that is. But honestly, when you wrote this book, Great People Know Great People, you know, in a lot of ways, you dispel those myths or that picture in a lot of ways. But how did you get started in this idea of networking, and like what led to you really becoming a good networker?
Failure.
Literally,
Literally,
a great place to start.
Everything was failure. So uh, I failed financially. So I was the sole provider. I go into great detail in the book. I'll give you the Spark Notes version here because we wouldn't have time. But bottom line is, I made some really bad financial decisions, which
Sure.
culminated in me quitting my job. I was the
Mm,
breadwinner. My wife was homeschooling the kids at home, um,
okay.
and everything imploded. So my wife and I looked at
Mm,
each other and said, "Hey, one of us needs to get a real job." So I had quit my job to get into real estate full time, and
uh-huh.
she ended up getting a job. I ended up staying home, Mr. Mom, homeschooling the kids. I took over her role. And
Mm,
as the market started to kind of recuperate and I needed to get back out, I was now networking for the very first time, going to Chamber of Commerce meetings,
mm.
doing things. No clue what I was doing, none. So fast forward a few years, I finally get into the mix. I'm on it. I'm all over the place. I'm everywhere. That's my personality is I'm not a sideline guy. Like I'm gonna jump in the game and go.
Jump in the pool.
Uh,
Yeah.
and and I say this in my book. I'm an introvert. It's a
Yeah.
bad place for me to be insecure, uncertain, not confident about what I'm gonna do. And the only
Mm,
reason I didn't quit is because I couldn't. Financially,
yeah.
I could not quit. I had no
Mm,
choice. Otherwise, I would have just
wow.
gone home and said, you know what, forget it. I'll find something else to do.
Yeah.
I didn't have that option. So
Hmm.
fast forward a few years, I'm now networking all over the place, and we pick up and move to Pittsburgh because my wife gets a new position, and we don't know a soul. And I'm trying to replant myself in the real estate business. And I said, well,
Mm.
I know what to do. I just don't want to do it. The same kind of mentality. I have
Right.
no interest in going out, shaking hands,
Mm,
kissing babies, and meeting people and
yeah.
doing all this. And have a smile on your face and, pretend to be interested when you're telling me about what you do. And, all those things that if we're real, we can
Yeah.
talk about openly, but no one ever discusses, right? And
Right. Right.
I had this epiphany when I first got here. I realized right away I don't look like anyone from Western Pennsylvania, right? I stand out. I stand out pretty easily, and even just hearing me talk, someone I remember very early on, they looked at me in a networking meeting and they go, "You're not from here, are you?"
You're not from here.
Um,
Yeah.
and
You're not talking about going downtown.
Yeah, right. But I realized right away, you know what? That's an advantage, right? Most people get
Sure.
get
Yeah.
lost in just the sea of everybody else. I stand out. So if I stand out, then why don't I embrace that? And I embraced that by saying, okay, I'm going to be the best connector of people that I could possibly be. So my job isn't to go and sell myself because
Mm,
especially here in any town, people are kind of territorial, right? And not only that, they're not just going to go work with you because you
sure.
you happen to have a product or a service that they need. They want to trust you. They want to know you. Um, so I just decided I'm going to pour into other people
Mm-hmm.
instead. I'm going to find out, like, if I meet David, I'm going to find out what does David do.
Yeah.
Now, I want to know who you are. I want to know about your family. Tell me about your
Mm-hmm.
kids. How did you meet your wife? Where did you go to school? If I like
Yeah.
you, I'm going to keep trying to help you and connect you to others. If when I have those conversations with
Sure.
you, you're
Yeah.
not so great, then I just move on and I meet someone else. So anyway, I did that. I
Move
had my
on.
very
Yeah.
first
Sure.
one-to-one, and it was with this woman. We spoke for an hour and a half just about family. We never got off the topic of family. I walk into a chamber meeting the
Mm,
following week, and she's standing there with
mm-hmm.
three other guys, and she sees me and she's waving me like this to come in, and I'm looking around. I'm like, shit, there's no way she's talking to me, right? Like, I'm
Yeah.
like brand new. And then
Me?
I realized there's no one else there. It's
Me?
me. So as I'm walking up to her,
Yeah.
and I went, oh, she's going to introduce me to these
Yeah.
guys. And so that's what happened. I walked up. She goes, hey, have you guys met Alex? He just
That's
moved here
cool.
from California. He's a great guy. And I'm thinking, where did that come from? Why? Because
Oh my
I
gosh. Yeah.
spent an hour and a half with her
Yeah.
having coffee, just talking about family. People love to talk about themselves. And
Yeah.
I was all of a sudden a great guy. She didn't know
Yeah.
anything about me other than my family stuff. My very first transaction in
Yeah.
Pittsburgh
Sure.
came out of one of those three guys. Yeah.
Wow. No kidding. That's amazing. That's really cool. Well, and that I remember the first time you and I met for coffee, and you had an acronym that you put at the top of your paper, And I just remember that. And I was like, oh, that's wild. What is that? And so I'd love for you to talk a little bit about that. Because when you're talking about
Yeah,
family, I
yeah.
know that's part of the acronym. So yeah, tell us a little bit about that
Right. I
acronym and how
learned this
you kind of guide that
from a group I was
conversation.
in California, and I thought the leader of the group was just really bizarre. But this was a massive gold nugget that I took with me and was so amazing in Pittsburgh. So it's called the Hangs method, Hangs. And so I just get a piece of paper and I start at the
Hmm.
top,
Okay.
Hangs, and the H stands for hobbies. So, for example, hey, David, what
Hmm.
do you do when you're not working? You've got a day off, no clients, no
Hmm.
nothing, family's gone. You can do whatever you want to do.
Yeah.
What do you do with your day or your time or your 3 hours? And some people go, oh, I love to golf, or man, I'd love to
Right.
go fish, or whatever it is. Just want to hear about what you like to
Yep.
do. And again, it
Sure.
gets people excited when they're talking about
Yeah.
stuff they enjoy doing, and you learn a lot about people, right? In
Them.
terms of what they really enjoy doing. It
Oh,
tells you a lot about
sure.
their
Yeah.
personality. Uh, then A is accomplishments.
Hmm.
And this is one that people don't like to answer. Sometimes it's like pulling teeth. It's like, hey, tell me something that you've done that you're really
Mm,
proud of. And then people, they're like, they get a little
I
too
love
humble,
that.
right? Where someone, other people will say, man, I'm a actually I'm a I went to boot camp and I'm a helicopter pilot. And you're like, what? So you hear some cool things about people, or someone will say, i've
And you're
i've
like, wow.
run 3
Yeah.
marathons, or I met an ultra marathon runner. So then you just kind of find out about people again, or someone who
Yeah.
has
That's amazing.
reached some tier of success in their business, or well, I just had my 40th wedding anniversary. I think that's a big, stuff like that. So just what's meaningful to them.
Yeah. Sure.
N is the N stands for networking. And that's where I ask them,
Yeah.
hey, I met you at the chamber. Where else are you networking? In other words, I want to know, what am I potentially missing out on, right?
Okay.
What groups are you a part of? What's out there that I don't know
Sure.
about?
Sure.
Maybe it's something that I can add to my repertoire, and
Hmm.
just go out and meet not just more people, but new people. Um, and then the G stands for
Yeah.
goals,
Right.
or depending on where I met you, right? So I also run an organization called Christian Business Partners. It's a faith-based networking group. So if I met you at CBP, I might ask you, what are the goals that you're working on in your business, and how can I help? Um, and then that's an interesting question. So you'll appreciate this doing what you do. How many leaders actually have goals? And
Sure.
how many leaders actually can articulate what
Right.
those
Right.
goals are? Right? So when I ask that question, it does a
Yeah.
lot. It
Right.
tells me immediately if they do have goals and if they know what they are, because they'll be able to
What
tell
kind
me,
of?
oh, actually, this
Yeah.
is what I'm working on, and this is what I'm trying to
Mm.
do. And then I always ask the question, and it's
Yep.
it's genuine.
Hmm.
Is there anything I can do to help you hit that? Like, do I need to, can I introduce you to people? Do
Yeah.
you want me
Sure.
to keep my ears open for certain things? How can I assist in that? And this is all very strategic, by the way. I'll explain it. And then the other side of the G would be, for someone that I
Yeah.
met like at Christian Business Partners, I would ask them, how's God working in your life right now, or business? Tell me a God
Mm,
story.
yeah. I love that.
Um,
Yeah.
and then
Yeah.
I draw
Yeah.
a line
That's
across
great.
the page right there, and the line signifies to me
Uh huh.
that everything on top matters. And if I don't like what I see up top, then what's
Mm,
below the line doesn't matter. In other words, if I go through all this and you're kind of a schmuck,
doesn't matter.
um,
Okay.
I don't care what your business is, right? Because I'm not going to work with you, right? I'm not going.
Right.
You could be the
Right.
greatest,
Yeah.
whatever.
Right.
I'm not using you. I'm not referring business to you. I don't like what I
Yeah.
see up here. But if I like what I see up here, now
Mm,
I'm very interested. Tell me
yeah.
what you do, and how can I help you? Like,
Hmm.
how can I connect to you? Who can I introduce you to? Who are you looking
Yeah.
to meet? Tell me, and then I dig in and I dive in. And the
Hmm.
whole part is to try to get to know you as much as possible, and help you. I've had so many conversations that
Hmm.
are one-way conversations. We'll
Yeah.
spend an hour talking, and it's me interviewing them, and I'm taking notes, and they never ask me a question. And
Yeah.
I would argue that those are the best ones,
Wow.
because they leave and they're like, that was
Yeah.
amazing, you know? Yeah.
Yeah. Because
Yeah.
they
And
got
then
to
every
talk
now and
about
then someone would
themselves,
say,
right? Yeah.
and then they feel like
Yeah.
inadequate, right? Like, wait a minute, he's taking notes. I'm not, yeah, can I borrow paper? And they're digging in their purse for a pen.
Yeah.
And that's fine too, because it is nice to have
Right,
them
right.
reengage. But I
Sure.
always start with family. So I always tell people I write hangs at the very top. I put a lowercase f because otherwise it would be the fangs method. We don't want to. We're not digging our fangs into
Yeah,
anybody, right? Yeah,
I was gonna
yeah.
say
But
that
I
would be a
always
little
start with
weird,
family
wouldn't
because that's
it?
the easy
That's funny.
topic, right?
That's great.
Are you from Pittsburgh? Where were you born? Where were
Sure,
you
sure.
raised? What schools
Yeah.
did you go to? How did you meet your spouse? How long you been married?
Yeah.
Talk about your
Yeah.
kids. How old are they? You tend to find so
All
many
of those things.
similarities with people. It's there, just the example I gave earlier,
Yeah.
but it's a great tool.
It is. It is great. And the thing that I hear too, just in your description of what, how you handle your one-to-ones and that is really you're looking to find a way to serve them and finding out about them, the other person. And in that, it's because I think the typical networking mentality has been in the past, like, hey, here's my business card. How can I sell you something? How can I, and that's really not what networking is all about. Or, your subtitle of your book is create a powerful business referral network of great people. So talk a little bit about that referral network, because when you're getting to know somebody and you get to know them at that level, then you have a deeper connection and you feel like then you know how you can refer them. And so I think that's an interesting part of how you approach networking as well, Alex.
Yeah, yeah. So networking is just relationship. It's just like everything else,
Yeah.
right? When I saw my wife, for the very first time, I thought she was fantastically gorgeous, but I didn't walk
Uh,
up and propose to her.
right,
Right?
right.
I didn't.
Yeah.
Right? I had to take the time to get to know her. I had to create a
Yeah.
relationship. There needed to be trust. So when you're at a
Yeah.
networking meeting and you shove your business card in somebody's hand, it's you know it doesn't work.
It's the same
Yes,
idea,
the same
right?
exact
Yeah.
idea. And so it really
Hmm.
is. That's the way I approach this. It's very much
Yeah.
that way.
Yeah. Yeah. How do you adapt to you talk about being an introvert in the book, and I think there's probably a lot of leaders that can probably identify with this. I know that in in my early years when I moved to Pittsburgh, I didn't know a soul and I had to go to these networking meetings, and I didn't particularly care for it because I'm not somebody that just enjoys just coming up to somebody and, hi, my name's David, and it probably a little bit different now, but still, I think there's a part of each of us that has that little bit of I want to step back a little bit. So how do you overcome that feeling, or especially if somebody is an introvert? I mean, extroverts, they can work a room, no problem. But if I'm a leader and I'm an emerging leader, I deal a lot with and work with emerging leaders. And so sometimes I think it's really important for them to know that even if their personality is one that is an introvert, they can overcome that and they can do it in a way that helps them to be able to start to make these relationships. How did you overcome that?
Yeah, almost like the very first question you asked, I was forced to, right? I couldn't quit. I couldn't
Yeah,
quit. I think
sure,
a lot of
sure.
people can quit and they do, and so they just don't do it.
Yeah, yeah.
There's a chapter in my book. It's entitled "The Eighth Grade Dance" because that's how I was,
I
right?
remember
Like
that.
at the eighth grade
Yeah.
dance, all the guys were just lined up against the wall, standing there,
On the wall, yeah.
terrified, to go approach a young lady. Well, this was 100 years ago, but that's kind of what it was in my life, right? And that's
Right.
walking into a networking meeting,
Hmm.
even today. I've been doing a lot of traveling to
Hmm.
Houston, and I wrote a book on how to do this. And I sit in the
Yeah.
car for 5 minutes before I walk in, get myself mentally prepared for the fact that I'm going to walk up, that a bunch of people are going to ask me immediately what I do before they even care about my name.
Yeah.
They're going to start
Yeah.
proposing, right? Um,
Right.
and how am I going to handle that? And just get myself just kind of ready. Um, it's
Hmm.
Here's the number one strategy is you're there, you have a business, you have something to give, something that's of value, and you're
Hmm.
qualified and you're excellent at what you do. Let's face it, right? If you're a leader of any kind of
Right.
business, whether you're attending a networking meeting or just meeting new people for the first time, you've you need to have that internal at least. Hey, I'm darn
Yeah.
good at what I do, and I'm confident that I can do it.
Right.
Now conveying that
Yeah.
confidence might be a little different, but you need to be able to
Sure.
come in with that and be genuine. So what I found
Mm-hmm.
is when I came to Pittsburgh and I would tell people I'm brand new to Pittsburgh, like right off the bat, I just moved here a week ago, a month
Yeah.
ago. It broke down every barrier in the world. Everyone was super
Yeah.
nice to
Sure.
me, right? Where most people are
Mm.
like, oh, I would never say that because it would look bad. It would make me look weak. It would
Sure.
make me, you know, they'll never come to me. They'll come to the guy that's been here for 20 years. Well, maybe the
Hmm.
guy that's been here for 20 years is just like they're done with
You're
that.
right.
Like they're waiting for
Right.
someone new to walk in. So I've
Sure.
had to implement the same strategy as I'm going back and forth to Houston right now, trying to build my networking
Yeah.
organization out there. I walk into a meeting and I just say, I just brand new to Houston. And they're like, oh, really? Where, and all of a sudden they want to know about me, you know? So
Sure.
number
Yeah.
one, be
Yeah.
genuine.
Interesting.
We can all smell someone who's not genuine. We can find them out. Um,
Yeah, for sure.
and by doing that, I think that you see people relax around you. And then just have one
Mm-hmm.
or two lines, very simple. Stay away from having the conversations of what do you do? What do you do? Because then the
Yeah.
conversation just kind of dies, right? Um,
Right.
and
Right.
even if you're not, new to an area, it's okay to tell someone it's your first time at a meeting, right? Oh, this is my first time attending
Yeah.
this
Yeah.
event, right? And then take
Yeah.
charge of the
Okay.
conversation. Have you been coming here for a long time? Has it been useful for you?
Mm.
Who's been influential? Who do you think I should meet? Like start asking those kinds of
Oh,
questions. And
yeah.
I think by doing that,
Love
most
that.
of us, as soon as we start talking and having a conversation, we can go. Engaging
Yeah.
and starting the conversation is not something I want to do. I don't want to walk
Yeah.
into a room full of people I don't know. I don't want my wife to tell
Right.
me, oh, we're going to the Johnson's house tonight. There's going to be six other couples there. I
Yeah.
don't want that either. I don't want to meet new people. That's not where I go. That's
Right.
not my personality.
Sure. Yeah. Well, and I love those questions, and I love the change in those questions. And I guess for our listeners, one of the things that I would just highlight is go back and listen to those questions that Alex just proposed to you or shared with us, because the typical it's so easy to get caught in the rut of, hey, well, what do you do? And rather than, hey, this is my first time here. Who's been influential, for you at this meeting? What's something that I should be aware of about this meeting, or whatever? Some of those other types of questions. And we talk about this a lot in our emerging leader inner circle, is the value of your questions is so important, and asking good questions that are open-ended that will help you to find more information and to be curious and those kinds of things. And I think the same thing applies here in the realm of networking. So as you think about like networking from a leader's perspective, what's maybe the first thing that you would talk about to a new leader, somebody who's just maybe a first time people leader? They just got promoted and now they've got a team, and they're learning to be a leader, but they know that they've also got to be part of their job, and part of their role is to meet other leaders. How do they, what's the first thing that they need to know? And maybe what are some tips that you can offer
Yeah.
them to help them with that?
No, I'm laughing because I have this conversation with my kids, right? College kids, high school kids who are
Yeah,
afraid to
sure.
reach out, for example, to meet people and to, whether it's to try to get an internship or try to get a job. Um,
Hmm.
if you are a seasoned leader, been leading for a long time, and a young leader reaches out to you for
Mm,
guidance, for help, do you help them? Absolutely. You
yeah.
drop everything and help them. So I would tell an emerging leader, a
Mm,
new leader, someone who's newer in the role, find, reach out to people who've been where you are and who've done what you've done,
that's
and
good.
just humble yourself,
Yeah,
right? And just say, hey,
yeah,
look, man, I just want to make sure I'm on the right page, pump them up a little bit. Leaders love that, right? You've been doing
yeah,
this for a long
yeah.
time. People speak highly of you. I
Mm,
think highly of you. Can I have just a few minutes of your time? Can we get coffee? I just want to pick your brain on some things. Maybe
hmm.
you can give me some guidance. if you could go back and be me today, what would you do, to start your,
Love
ask
that.
those kinds of questions. And,
Those are
we
great.
love looking back and helping and giving, right? Just like a young kid today
Yeah.
in college, trying to get my kids to, reach out on LinkedIn, find someone
Yeah.
who went to your school, who has your degree, and just search for them,
Yeah.
you know?
Right. Right.
XYZ college, business analysis, and then you're going to see all these people come up, right? If you want to dial it down, oh, I'm a soccer player. Are there any soccer players on the list? And then you reach out and you go, hey, I'm so and so, class of whatever. I'm graduating. Man, I see that you're working in this field. You're still working in your degree.
That's
Can I
great.
can I spend a few minutes with you? That person that would be the greatest call of their day, right? To go
Yeah,
back
for
and talk to
sure.
this, 20-year-old kid and get them
Yeah.
excited about, because they remember when they were in those shoes. So leaders, it's the same thing, and it goes with our kids. We should be doing this with our kids. We should be doing this as new leaders. Anything that you do new, there's nothing wrong with reaching out to someone and just kind of, again, be genuine. Just be genuine.
Right. Right, right. Yeah, being genuine. I think that that's one of the most important things, just to be genuine, be authentic, and people will open up. Like you said earlier, people know if you are going to be if you're not being authentic, and so being genuine, I think, is such an important thing because if we're genuine and if we're open, people are going to open up too, and I think that's really important. I love those tips, Alex. I really do. Yeah, how should leaders maybe think even a little bit differently about networking? So I know you kind of talked about some of this, but if I'm thinking about networking in the typical mindset that's maybe been taught for years and years and years, I think that's obviously that's not what we're talking about here. But what are maybe one or two things that we can think differently about networking and building a referral network, really?
Yeah, I think one of the best things that I've been able to accomplish through this is I now know so many quality people in so many different facets of business and life, and so it it really helps me to maintain relationships, from a realtor side of things. For example, we're coming up next week is Valentine's Day, right? So our inboxes are
Right.
all going to be hit with cheesy emails that say Happy Valentine's Day, right? From your
Yeah.
your mortgage
Right.
guy, your financial planner, your insurance company, your bank's going to send you a little note in the mail. Everyone and they all go in the trash, right? They all go in the trash, they all get deleted. But, one way to have a drip campaign, for example, would be to say, hey, I was out networking this past week and I came across this person, and this person. This one's a plumber. This one is an insurance agent. And this one, I don't know, electrician, something. And just say, they're
Sure.
fantastic
Sure.
people. If you need their services, right? Here's their contact
Yeah.
information. I highly, and so what's happening is you're reaching out to your client base and you're providing useful information, not junk.
Yeah.
But if you're
Yeah.
if you're a leader, I think that you want the people that you're leading to be confident and strong. And one way to do that is for them to be ingrained into their communities. I would encourage them to go out and
Yeah.
network and find people who do what they do, find people who learn from others. Go just find someone interesting. There doesn't have to be any
Yeah.
relevance there. The very first person I chose to have a one-to-one
Yeah.
with wasn't the person who I think was going to be best for my real estate business. It was the opposite. Who did I think was the nicest person in the room that was going to say yes when I asked? That was
Yeah.
my
I love it.
bar. My bar was really low. It was I do not want to
Kind of like going back to the eighth grade dance,
I
right?
do not want to get turned
who's
down.
going to say yes?
Yes, right?
Right.
Right. Who's the
Right.
person that's most likely to say yes? I'm asking them. And it turned out to
Yeah.
be a
That's
wonderful
good.
conversation and it had nothing to do with business. Right. But again, if you have an
Yeah.
ally, right, isn't that all that matters? Just have
Yeah.
someone on your team,
Right.
someone who's going to,
Sure.
you know, keep you top of
Yeah.
mind.
Yeah. And I think that just this whole mindset shift of wanting to connect with people, because it's really not about, what do you do, and here's my business card. It's really about, I want to know you. I want to know Alex. I want to know, about his wife and his kids, and what's interesting to him. What does he do on his time off? And how can I serve him? And when you have that kind of a mindset, that changes the whole dynamic of, this word networking. And really, it's I think it's about helping. To me, it's about helping. How do I help someone else? And if I go into an event with that kind of a mindset, man, I think that just changes the dynamics, and maybe even answers my question about, being kind of an introvert. But if I go in and I think, how can I help the people that I'm going to meet here tonight or today? That really maybe changes the whole dynamic. Would you agree?
Yeah, absolutely. I have a stack of business cards from the one-on-ones that I have. And these are the people, these
Yeah.
are my go-to. These are the, I will refer you to anybody, everybody, my mother, I trust you, I love you, you're awesome, right? So
Yeah.
that's my stack of
Yeah.
cards. And when I'm sitting in a one-to-one, I
Yeah.
can't tell you how many times I've had people start talking and I go, oh, I've got a guy for that here, you know? And
Yeah.
and and I, and
I
so
got a
I'm pulling
guy.
these cards
Yeah.
out. And you know, yes, you want to go into these events with the opportunity, with a servant's heart. And you
Mm-hmm.
know, it's the thing about networking, I think, that is critical too, is people want immediate results. Uh,
Yeah.
Networking is a crock
That's
pot.
not.
It's not a microwave, you know.
I love that.
Um,
Yeah, you got to let things simmer,
yes,
right? And
yes.
just, yeah, it takes a little
So many
time.
people walk into a chamber
Yeah.
meeting, they pass out 20 cards, and then they go, chamber doesn't work. And it's like, no, you don't work. Like that,
You don't
yeah,
work. Yeah, right,
that's
right.
not how it's done,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah, for
There's no
sure.
success.
Man, yeah, I think that's probably the most important thing that I've learned too, is that just it takes it's not just this instant, I think because we live in this instant society. I mean, with the internet, we can get things just immediately, and so that's not how human beings work and how relationships work. And I think that's really important for our leaders and our audience to really remember that it takes time, and it takes the ability to make those connections and simmer.
Absolutely. And you and I can, share this probably from just an age perspective. But you talked about that again,
Right.
relationships, right? One of the working title originally, when I even had the idea to write this book, I was going to call it Dating for Business, right? And my
I love
publisher,
it.
my
Yeah.
publisher says to me, "Are you writing a book on prostitution? What are you doing?" And I'm like,
Oh no.
"Yeah, no, no,
Oh
I'm not.
gosh.
No, I'm not." But
No, no.
but even what you just talked about,
Uh,
because so much of this is true, right? Like in today's
yeah.
world, there's an app, and you set up a date on an app
Yeah.
based on superficial
Yeah.
and maybe or maybe not real information. Where back in our day,
Right.
you would meet someone, you would get to know someone, then you had to have the courage to
Mm-hmm.
go ask her out.
Mm.
And that
Yeah.
art is lost. And that
Mm.
whole encounter is how the best business is done, right? So much right
Right.
now is computer generated. AI does a lot of wonderful
Yeah.
things for us, but it also takes away some of that personal element. And at the end of the day,
Mm-hmm.
how many coaches are out there, right? But how many coaches
Yeah.
are you willing and want to work with, right? And so you have to get to
Right.
know the right one. You have to feel like, hey,
Yeah.
this is a relationship here. I'm comfortable
Yeah.
here. I trust here. I can be vulnerable here, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm willing to learn here.
Yeah.
That's important, right? So it's important
Yeah.
for you. It's important for
Yeah.
me, and you have to build a relationship. That's going to take time.
Yeah, yeah. I keep going back to your phrase of this. This is a crock pot. It's a crock pot because crock pot. You put something in, you put that food in, and it takes all day. It's just a slow, a slow cooking, and I love that. So, Alex, you've given us a lot of great thoughts, and I really wanted to be able to encourage people, leaders that are listening, to go out and get your book called great people know great people. Where do they go to get that? What's the best place for them to get that book?
Yeah, Amazon has it. It's also my
Okay.
website is book-greatpeople.com. From there, you can also access all the social media links and some videos
Yeah.
and just different topics on there.
I love that. So I want to encourage everybody to go out and get this book. It's a really easily digestible book, but very practical. And, I think as leaders, we've got to learn to network better. And Alex has got such a great framework and really the ability to help us to think differently about networking. And so, Alex, you're on LinkedIn, I'm assuming. Where can people go to find out more about you?
Yeah, definitely on LinkedIn, Instagram, now TikTok because, my kids
Oh
my
yeah,
kids cringe that I'm on TikTok, but I've got some
I know.
videos, conversations,
That's great.
snippets that I've got on there. But the website has access
I
to
love
all
it.
my links. I want to leave you with this as you were
Perfect.
just explaining that, talking about, leaders. I think one of the best things that they
Yeah.
could do that would be so out of the box, it would throw people off, but it would elevate them. Um,
Mm.
is to set up one-to-ones with the people that report to you.
Oh
Reach
yeah,
out to
that's
them
good.
and say, "Hey, I want to
Mm.
have coffee with you." And don't talk about
Yeah.
work. Go through
Yeah.
the Hangs method and just get to
Yeah.
know them. Get to know them intimately,
Mm.
and it will change. Watch how it changes everything.
Mm.
They
That's
no
good.
longer see you as
Yeah.
some staunchy boss in that corner office, or the guy that comes in and
Hmm.
demands amount of work. They're going to see you as a human, and you're going to see them in a much different way as well. And watch the compassion levels, and all of a
Yeah.
sudden, the the amount of work, the amount of production, because they care now about
Yeah.
you, that they've learned about you, or you've took the time to learn about them. It's powerful.
Yeah, I love that. That's such a great advice. Very great advice. Alex, thank you so much for being here. Leaders, I just want you to reach out to Alex, connect with him, get his book. This is an area that I think can be helpful, not just in our professional life, but in our personal life too. As Alex just shared, I think this is a great way to be able to get to know people and to really just build relationships. Alex, thank you so much for being here. Thanks so much for sharing your knowledge and. Appreciate you, my friend. It's been great to be able to get to know you over the past several years.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, thank you for having me. It was awesome.
My pleasure. My pleasure.